17,492. That's the number of suspected opioid overdoses in the last year and a half here in Arizona. Many of those deaths are attributed to fentanyl, a substance that's increasingly mixed into illegal drugs.
Tonight, in a Cronkite News special report, Bryce Newberry joins us live with a look at a tool advocates say can help save lives.
More than 300 people have overdosed in just the last week here in Arizona. There's a growing number of advocates who believe we need to look at new ways to address the opioid epidemic. The problem is the law, at least in Arizona, because it doesn't always align with good intentions.
Typically, they expect to see me at least a few times a week. But
ALFRED Delgado has battled addiction.
I wanted to do well. I wanted to change. I just didn't know how to make that change happen. And I really didn't have a good support system of people.
Now he is that support system for others.
At the core of it is love, unconditional love.
But that love means risking a run-in with the law when he takes his van into parks and neighborhoods across the valley, packing along clothing, toiletries, clean syringes, and even treats for pets. It's because of these fentanyl testing kits Al shares with the community. They test for the presence of fentanyl in other illegal drugs. The CDC found 40% of overdose deaths in 2017 were fentanyl related.
Every life is important.
Haley Coles is executive director of SONORAN Prevention Works. The organization says fentanyl is being found all over the state in drugs like heroin and OxyContin. The DEA reports fentanyl is 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine, making every drug it's mixed with that much more potent and toxic.
Every single day, at least 4 Arizonans are dying of an overdose that may have been prevented.
But the small strips that could prevent an overdose can be considered drug paraphernalia under the Arizona law, which states it is unlawful for any person to use or possess with the intent to use drug paraphernalia to test or analyze a drug.
That clear backpack, is that you?
During a recent traffic stop in Mesa, police seemed confused about the strips.
The fentanyl, that Ziploc in there? Yes, sir. What is that?
In this case, police issued a misdemeanor ticket for possession of drug paraphernalia.
This needs to be absolutely legal for everyone.
The uncertainty of the law is not stopping volunteers like Kathy, who puts together the test kits at home. She asked us not to show her face because of the stigmas this kind of work can bring. For her, it's personal. Her son got hooked after a doctor prescribed opioids 10 years ago.
It's devastating to know that maybe that next phone call that comes in is going to be somebody calling and telling you that your child is dead.
From people who have used fentanyl test strips, they tell us that they use in a different way. They use less. They are taking precautions once they are aware that fentanyl is in their drugs to avoid an overdose.
Researchers here in Maryland have found these strips are effective in preventing overdoses. In fact, last June, the state legalized the strips, and just a few weeks ago, the city health department started offering them to patients.
We were seeing quite a few overdoses here in the city, and so that was another tool to use that could possibly save somebody's life.
The Baltimore Health Department operates needle exchange services all over the city out of this mobile van. People come to get supplies like clean syringes, naloxone, and fentanyl strips. A Johns Hopkins University study led by Dr. Susan Sherman found 70% of drug users would change their using behavior if they knew fentanyl was present in their drugs.
A study like this can be used to inform and change drug paraphernalia laws. People actually don't even know if testing, in every state it's actually not illegal or criminalized. Science can inform policy.
Sherman says harm reduction for drug addiction should be part of the public health response to the opioid crisis.
If this were Ebola and this many people, or the flu died, this many people a year died from the flu in the United States, think about what the public health and political response would be.
The response from Al and Kathy is simple. They'll keep reaching out.
Yeah, those are gold out here.
Doing what they can because they believe it's a matter of life or death.
I just want somebody to live.
If for some reason some policeman comes to me and said, whatever you're doing is illegal, I would say, fine, take me to jail.
While Maryland lawmakers may be making headway using fentanyl test strips, there's little momentum here in Arizona. The Arizona Attorney General's office, local police, the Maricopa County Attorney's office, not one could give us an explanation of the state's drug paraphernalia law as it relates to the test strips. A bill was introduced in the state legislature to legalize syringe service programs across the state, but it doesn't specify the legalization of these testing strips. A similar bill failed last year. Live in the studio, Bryce Newberry, Cronkite News.